Black and Power. Please explain what is Black and Power, and I see you got some products, some knowledge in front of us. We'll get to those, but please let us know what is Black and Power, sir.
Black and Power is my business. It's my baby. It's my creative baby. I will say that. But Black and Power comes out of some tragedy, unfortunately. I was watching like 2014, I want to say, Michael Brown's situation in Ferguson, Missouri unfold, where he was killed, a couple of days before he was going off to college, mind you. That part really wasn't ever in the story. But anyway, Michael Brown was killed, and, his community, Ferguson, Missouri, went up in smoke, went up in flames. They protested, rioted, whatever the case you want to, say. Police officer acquitted, the whole nine. The typical story that we hear. Michael Brown was shot with his hands up, shot in his back, as the ballistics kind of show. Michael Brown's community and his father, or lack thereof involvement of his father, was blamed for the reason why he was killed. I was watching the news, and they alluded to, well, if Michael Brown's father was involved in his life, he would still be alive today. Something of that sort. And that pissed me off, because Michael Brown wasn't killed by anybody else but an officer, a white officer at that, right? And come to find out, his father and his stepfather were involved in his life. So it enraged me. But more than just being upset, as I am with all these state-sponsored and police-sponsored killings, it made me want to go to do something creatively. So Black and Power was kind of born out of that. So in 2014, the idea was, hey, you know what? They talk so negatively about Black fathers and Black men. Let me try to put some counter narratives out there. And that's where Black fatherhood kind of comes from. OK, so I said, look, I know too many involved and engaged and invested Black dads for this to be the only single story about Black men. We're not there. The reason why our sons like Michael Brown are being killed in the street is because we're not involved. That's BS. You know what I mean? That's not the whole story. That's an easy excuse. So I just went kind of similar to what you're doing and just started interviewing brothers in the community, whether it's at the barbershop, whether it's the football coach, whether it's, your guy next door, whether it is, whomever, right? These various men in these various fathering positions, parenthood positions, the single dad, the dad who's raising biracial kids, the dad who's taking on non-biological kids, the dad who's going through the child support, custody support, the dad who might have a couple kids by a couple different women, an African brother raising kids in America, right? Like all these different scenarios that Black men kind of find themselves in. I wanted to just hear from them firsthand. So that was kind of the impetus for Black fatherhood, was the death, but out of the death comes some life, right? And this book and the film, as a result, has taken on like a life of its own. And that was the foundation for Black and Power. I knew I wanted to do books and film that gave some counter narrative stories. Before I got into books and film, though, I felt, well, how can I get my money up and my visibility up? I started creating merchandise, T-shirts, and things of that sort with empowering slogans. So one of my more popular shirts is obviously the Black and Power logo, which you'll see, on shirts. But I have shirts that say King and Queen and things of that sort that people gravitated towards, that they, started to love. And I started to take some of that money that I was making from the shirts and, to be honest with you, sold a lot of shirts. But I reinvested from the shirts and the earrings and the stickers and doing events, and then started putting it more and focusing on my original further out goals, which was books and film. And again, Black Fatherhood, the book and the film, was the first book and film combo that I've done. I've done 4 films and probably, 10 books at this point. Yep, since 2015. So I had a goal. From 2015 to 2025, I wanted to do 10 books and 5 films. I'm still working on the films part. That's a little bit tougher than the books. But yeah, we got a number of different products out to create a counter narrative to the mainstream stereotypes that we hear about Black people. I want to empower the Black diaspora, Black and Power.
There it is.
There it is. Yeah.
Wow, okay. That's great. Thank you for the service. I do remember the time of Mike Brown, and I was working in San Francisco at the time. And I remember even the protests. I was out there. It was one on New Year's, I recall, in San Francisco, and I think that's what. Looking back, I think that woke a lot of black people up, because I call that the pre-George Floyd era, because George Floyd woke a lot of people up too, definitely because we was at home. But those that recall that Mike Brown, I would say him popped it off in the 210s. But even going back further, the same thing with Mr. Oscar Grant. And I remember I was living in L.A. at the time with Oscar Grant, just watching it on the news, watching a dude get acquitted, and I was pissed off. And to see it as I'm just older now, and to see the same thing. So, as myself, as you said, kind of, this is my response of we have to put some counter narratives out and showcase that we want to empower, improve as well, but as well inspire. To say, we can still do things. And just to touch back on what you said, which I think is a great example of our people in contemporary times, how even under the boot of racism, the plantation, anybody, we still invented all those things. So you can't. Because I know my friend, if you may have seen it before, there's like a big poster that you can buy, and it shows all our inventions. And you will look at it like, dang, we did all that.
Everything from little to big. So that poster, I have 2 of them.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And yes, everything from the alphabet, which was an African invention, to the university, which started in Africa, all the way to, modern day things like the caller ID. I think some of these video game consoles, the Super Soaker water gun, right? Black inventors, men and women, have invented almost everything. They say necessity is the mother of invention. So if you need it, you're going to find a way to create it. The sprinkler, the ironing board, the mailbox, the fitted sheet, ice cream, washing machine, the stoplight, the gas mask, right? The soles of your shoes, the horseshoe, the golf tee, the fountain pen, the folding chair. I want to say the air conditioner, you know what I mean? The blimp, the elevator, right? I mean, just so many things. The hair straightening comb, right? And the dunk. Black inventions, black culture, black creativity, black ingenuity, the blood running in us from the our African past, which Africa is the mother of invention of life, right? Fire. And anyway, we and I'm not trying to just brag on us. We're the sole innovators. No, we're not the sole innovators, but we are the most creative people on this face of this earth. And everybody has taken some of our creativity, some of our invention, but necessity being the mother of invention, we had to create it to make our lives easier because we were the manual laborers for America and for the Americas, so.